Hello, my love, and welcome back to Being That Woman. On today's episode, I'm going to speak about something that I know some women have a real challenge with, and that is getting over your ex. Firstly, I just want to put my hands up and I want to say I'm somewhat of an expert in this subject. Me and my ex-boyfriend had a full-on 6-month breakup. So I'm definitely classifying myself as an expert in the field because I know the ins and the outs and all of the trials and all of the challenges and all of that. Am I doing the right thing by breaking up with him? And should we get back together? And all of the noise that so many women can experience when trying to break free of a relationship that is not serving, that could be potentially toxic, and also feel into the ease and the relaxation and the relief that you get to experience afterwards, and being really affirming with yourself that what you did was the right choice. Or even if it wasn't your choice to break up, being in a sense of peace and ease in the fact that that relationship has ended. And before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to say that there's two types of getting over him. There is the conscious aspect where you know that you're ruminating, where you know that you are thinking about him, where you know you're in this loop of constantly questioning what went wrong and was it you and why did things happen the way that they happened. And then sometimes that can also bring a wishing. So a wishing and a longing that things were different. And that can often come from a part of us that still loves him, that still wants to be friends with him, that still wants him in her life. And we're going to get into that bit a little bit later on the show. And then the second piece is the unconscious. So this is where your mind is telling you like, cool, I'm over it, good riddance, thank God, etc., etc. But deep down, there's still some unease in feeling. And this might present itself in ways where you put off dating, or every guy that you seem to meet seems to be very similar to your ex, or there's little reminders here and there of him. So logically, your mind's like, cool, thank God, I'm not with him. But your body's like, oh no, like, oof, there's a feeling there. And that's more than often the subconscious programming and experiencing from the body that is reliving and representing itself. So as I said, I had a whole 6-month breakup with my ex. And the actual breakup was more on his side to begin with. But then, as happens in relationships, people question whether they made the right decision or not. And he was trying to get back with me, and I was kind of a yes, and I was kind of a no, and I was considering it. And we still met up with each other, and we were still texting each other. And one minute we were nice to each other, and the next minute we were not so nice to each other. And we had a lot of crazy experiences where we ended up on a flight together in New York, going to New York, and it was like a whole experience of where life kept bringing us back together. And the way I look back on it now is like, oh, there was just so much unfinished business and so many unsaids and so many undones that it was almost like the universe was trying to organize us so that we could complete the breakup. And the breakup did complete, and it completed when I'd actually moved away from London, and he was still kind of antagonizing and disruptive in my life. And even though we were broken up, he was still throwing stones at me in certain ways. And I remember going into my office toilets at the time. And I remember having this really solid word with myself because I just found out that he'd slept with another person that I knew. And that for me was just like pulling the plug, because that was girl number 3 that I knew of. And I basically went into the toilets and I said to myself, Anna, do you not love yourself enough to allow someone to treat you this way? And at the time I was talking about him, but it wasn't until later on, through years of healing and getting over him and the experience, I realized like, oh, like I wasn't talking to him in the mirror. I was talking to myself. Like, do I not love myself enough that I will allow someone, i.e. me, to keep treating myself this way? Because I was saying yes to the experience. And then after that, I literally went back to my desk. I said, I hope one day that you love someone as much as you say that you want to love them, and truly do that. And then that is the last email conversation, communication I ever had with him up until years later. And that's a separate story. And I remember feeling really solid and really proud of myself. And he kept emailing me even months afterwards. He was still emailing me. And by this point, he'd moved on, but I was still receiving emails. And I just remember feeling so much pride within myself because, yes, he ended the relationship, but I closed the fucking door, you know? And that, I think, for a woman, takes so much courage to, you know, when you've been rejected, but someone's still playing with your heart and playing with your mind, it takes so much courage to walk away from something that isn't serving you, that is affecting your mental and emotional health and thus also your physical health. That is one of the best experiences that you can gift yourself from a breakup where you're being extremely challenged and maybe, like me, you think, fuck, my life is ruined. I don't know what to do from here. I don't know if I'll ever trust a man again. I don't know if I'll ever want to be in a relationship ever again. And it can feel really lonely and really scary. And I don't know if you're in this experience right now, but maybe you're presenting with the symptoms. And the symptoms that I remember and I see women holding a lot when they're in the breakup stage is almost like this hopelessness. You feel very, very hopeless of relationships, of men, and you can't quite envision a future where you can trust a man again, where you can be like, oh my God, they're not actually the enemy. And there are actually great men out there. There are actually great men everywhere. And maybe you find yourself, if you are going out dating, you keep attracting the same type of man. And he presents himself very similar to your ex, similar kind of characteristics, similar ways of treating you, similar ways of being, even in the subtleties and the nuance. Like, for example, like he might say certain things or he might like the same things. Or maybe you have the symptom where you are penancing and punishing yourself. Like you think that you did something wrong, or you can't quite stay present to yourself. So your mind overthinks and you go into that spiral loop of, was it me? Was I not good enough? Was it the way I looked? Was it me in the bedroom? Was it me around his friends? Was it what his friends thought of me or what his family thought of me? And you can really put yourself into that symptom of victim mentality because you do feel like you need to defend yourself because it does almost feel like an attack. A breakup does feel like an attack, and it is in some ways a trauma. The definition of trauma is too much, too fast, too soon, not enough, or not long enough. And my experience of my breakup was that was too much. There was too much going on. There was too much flying at me, and I couldn't actually feel into the emotion, so I froze. I froze and I went into overwhelm, and I just was overthinking and spiraling, and it just brought so much shame up, so much guilt up. So much little girl stuff as well from when my dad left as well. And I couldn't quite really understand and comprehend what had been going on. And I know that it affected other areas of my life, and this is another symptom. I realized that I wasn't quite connected in my friendships. I didn't feel very motivated per se in a lot of ways. I definitely saw that I overworked a lot, and I just kind of like threw my whole self into work. And I was like, it's the hyper independent woman because there's no support system by way of a partner, by way of finances, etc. So I was like, I need to go and I need to survive and I need to go and make money and I need to go and boss my career and be the boss babe. And that is a survival mechanism. It is a strategy. It's a strategy because there's fear of survival, of livelihood, but also it's a great way to distract. And these are some of the coping mechanisms that I did and I see that women do today. And that is emotional eating. My whole experience of emotional eating just flared up during that time. because I wanted to soothe my emotions. And of course, the way in which we're programmed to think is like, oh, it's the food. Oh, it's my lack of discipline. Oh, it's my hormones. Oh, it's my metabolism. Oh, it's because I'm lazy. Oh, it's because I'm greedy. Oh, it's the chocolate. Oh, it's the sugar. I went down all the rabbit holes, and it wasn't any of those things. I was eating myself to oblivion because I did not want to feel the pain of my ex sleeping with my flatmate. And it is as simple as that. That was so hard and painful to touch. That emotion, that physical reaction was so scary that I went to eat. And the eating soothed me. And it was a momentary like shut down and like, relax. I don't need to think about that. I don't need to feel that. When I realized that the food binging wasn't actually serving me and it was actually destroying my health because I flared up in cystic acne and I just looked tired all the time and I was tired all the time, I actually started to rebuilding a different relationship with my body and with my relationship with food. What I didn't realize back then is that I just went, okay, awesome. I've got this standard and this boundary with food now and it feels really good. And I started to exercise more for myself and I started to eat slowly and eat beautifully and eat organically and all of the things without intense restriction, without intense control. And that was just such an amazing experience for me because before that, I would obviously binge eat, but then I would also work out obsessively because I had a belief that I didn't look good enough for a man. And I believed on some level that he slept with my flatmate because I didn't look good enough or I wasn't attractive enough. I wasn't sexy enough, all of the things. So what did I go and do? I had to go and fix my body. I had to go and fix my health. I had to be healthier, fitter, more toned, more sexy, more attractive, like you name it. And when I realized that that actually wasn't working and I actually wasn't feeling any sexier, even though my body looked better and I was on my best weight or whatever it was that my mind believed the best weight was, I was like, oh, okay, so I'll just go and be successful in the career that I'm in. So I basically then became an overfunctioning career woman that was climbing up the ladder to try and be successful at all of the things and cleverly disguised as ambition. That's cool. Oh, I'm just an ambitious woman. Yeah, cool. I'm an ambitious woman who's got a great, healthy lifestyle that can't feel the pain of my ex-boyfriend and his betrayal and his abandonment. And these are just clever ways to set up life so that I didn't have to feel. I didn't actually have to really see the self-betrayal and how I had said yes to him and how I played a part because, you know, when we've experienced something really, really challenging, like that kind of a relationship, like a breakup, it's really challenging to be like, I'm going to hold my hands up. I played a part in this as well because there's a sense of pride and also we're still these little children that don't want to be at fault, that don't want to be the one to be blamed. So we're constantly running away from any self-responsibility because it's attached to fault and blame, like we did something wrong and then we're going to get told off like naughty little girls. And when you start reframing and rewiring your way of seeing self-responsibility and ownership, the whole game changes because you realize that just like you chose the unavailable guy who, you know, was a cheater and was dishonest and didn't really have your health and his as a priority, when you realize that you chose that, well, fucking awesome. You can unchoose it and you can start choosing something better. And you start sitting almost like on a crown or a throne with a crown on because you're like, fuck, I can actually make different choices if I do the work to truly love myself, to truly feel everything that comes into my life that is going to make me sad or mad, because those things aren't wrong or bad. They're just part of the human experience. We get to be angry. We get to be pissed at our exes for the betrayal. We get to be pissed at ourselves for our own self-betrayal. And we get to be sad and grieve, and really grieve, because there was a part of us that really wanted that relationship to work out. There was a part of us that really loved that human. And we get to grieve, we get to be mad, and we get to move the fuck on and remember who the fuck we are. And that's the bit that I see so many women continuously leaning on the coping mechanisms, like the food or hyper dating. Oh, I'll just move on and get over him by then going and trying to find another man to fill the void. And this is what I call a hook in the work that I do with women. I'm a big mission seeker of women being in the active truth of who they are and what is happening in their life. And a hook is something that we essentially say, if I have that thing, then I'll be worthy. If I have that thing, then I'll be good enough. If I have or experience that thing, then I am a likable, lovable woman. And essentially what it is it means that we become almost obsessed with finding those things outside of us or having them in our life, that we then almost create a codependency with those things. We create an attachment. So for example, if I have a man in my life, then I will feel secure. Then I will be worthy. Then I will be happy. Then I will be fulfilled. And essentially, women trap themselves when they have this mindset and this deep belief system which lives in the body. You are going to be forever contingent on that man and his behavior and how he treats you and if he stays around and what goes on in his life. For example, you could meet the man of your dreams, get married, and be like, oh, finally I've met him. Finally, I can be happy. Finally, I can relax. Finally, I can live my life. Finally, I can feel really secure and worthy. And then he might pass away. And then your whole infrastructure of your sense of self and your sense of worth and your sense of being and feeling good within your body and being at peace with life is all of a sudden taken away. And I know this sounds really, really deep, and that's because it is, because these hooks that women have are really deep, because they essentially mean that we lose ourselves if we hook onto anything and anyone outside of us as having a huge part in our sense of self-worth and our right to live on this planet feeling at ease with who we are and where we are. So the hyper dating can often be the presenting of that hook. I need to date. I need to meet someone. I need to go on 12 million dates every single week. And I need to chat to a guy every single night. Because if not, what? What is that thing for you? And I'm asking that question for you. Because I know what presented itself for me is like, I'll be lonely forever if I don't put myself out there and I go on all of the dating apps and I match with guys and I go on dates. And there's a fine line between actually actively being in the experience of dating and learning and, yes, putting yourself out there to be in relation with other humans, men. And then the other side of the fine line is the controlling need to meet someone because you fear so deeply that you're not going to be good enough and you're not going to be happy without that other person saying yes to you or without being with another person. So the hyper dating can present itself as a coping mechanism because you're still feeling the pain and the experience of the previous relationship, of the breakup, of what went down, and the feeling more often than not / belief that women feel when they leave a relationship that is so and so painful is that I'm not good enough. He left me, he abandoned me, he cheated on me because I'm not good enough. And then you take that not good enough and you don't want to feel and really touch that and really meet yourself with where does that even come from, because it's nothing to do with him. That's the self-responsibility and ownership of like, I've created that story and that belief based on his behavior because I was hooked to what he thought of me. It can be really, really challenging to do that. So it's like, I'll just hyperdate, or I'll just avoid dating altogether and go to work, which was me. Hello, high achiever. And another way in which I see women coping is spending money. Just spending money. I will spend money on all of the trips, all of the holidays. I will get myself a new wardrobe and I will go to the gym. I will hire a fitness personal trainer. I will do all of the things to have fun and put it on social media so he sees that I'm having a good time, so that I'm over him. And there's two parts to this. One, the spending money to go and do all of these things to have a good time is escapism. Because if you can't feel good in your own home, on your own time, in your own bedroom, on your own, with no one watching you, no stories, no taking a picture and putting it on Instagram, no telling your friend, if you can't feel good in your own home, on your own, then the holiday isn't going to help. The holiday is an escapism. Equally, it's the same thing if you are spending tons of money on Botox, on fillers, on clothes, on personal trainers, all of that to feel good enough because you think that your ex cheated on you because you didn't look attractive or you weren't sexy enough. That is an escapism. And women do this all day long, and it is so deep. This is what I'm talking about, like from the unconscious part, because there's an unconscious part of us that's feeling that fear and it's trying to protect us, but it doesn't feel good for us to have those feelings and those belief systems. So we try and paint a picture outside of us that is wildly different to what we are experiencing underneath. And I'm all for a woman looking after her body and feeling good in her skin and wearing something cute and, you know, going on a nice holiday and having a great old time, but not to escape, not to prove, and not to feel as though she can't really be herself in places. So she has to mask it by putting on a front. I want to just leave you with something because there's a few things that I've put. Firstly, I want you to really explore those hooks. If I fill in the blank of whatever that is, then I will be whatever you think you will be. Like for me, if I meet a man, then I will not be lonely. But we all know that's absolute bullshit, because how many women are in a relationship right this very second and feel lonelier than they did in their single life? So I want to leave you with that. And then the other piece that I want to leave you with, and I'm feeling like I'm going to do so many more podcasts on this, because I'm feeling very activated and I've clearly got a lot to say about it. But I really just want you to start saying to yourself, remember who the fuck you are. Like literally with your shoulders back, head high, I want you to just really land in, remember who the fuck you are. Because that is going to be an anchor point for you to move past the pain and the shame of what you're experiencing in the breakup. And it's going to be the absolute gold that you get to interweave as you embark on this healing journey. Because trust me, I know that a breakup can feel like absolute rock bottom. And congratulations, because from rock bottom, there is only one place to go. I hope that you loved this episode as much as I loved delivering it to you. As always, if you did love it and if it did land and resonate for you, I would love for you to tag and share with me on Instagram. I am at Anna Christina, and leave me a 5-star review.